Scooter, there are documentaries and headlines and Reddit threads, fan theories, all written about you. I think we as the public get quotes here or there, but we never get your full story from you. A lot has changed in your life. You've stepped away from managing artists. Before we get into what the future holds, which I am really curious about for you, I feel like we have to go back a little bit, and the one word that keeps coming up in all your interviews is ambitious. And I feel like your ambition could have been pointed in a few different directions, but you pointed it towards music. When did you fall in love with music?
I think I've always been in love with music. My first job in entertainment was a dancer. I was a dancer at bar mitzvahs and weddings. I was discovered at a teen club with my friend Dale back in the day. It was actually a teen club in I think it was Mount Vernon in New York. And, you know, I DJ'd, I was dancing, then I started throwing parties when I was in college. But music is something that always, no matter what in my life, it was like music and basketball were the two things that could take me out of the thought process of life and keep me in the moment and give me just joy in the moment. When I was 19, I was in my freshman dorm room and I read a book called The Operator about David Geffen. And he is not a fan of the book, but I saw it as someone who was flawed, who became extraordinary, and I'm flawed, we're all flawed, and it made me think like, maybe I can do this. And I remember there's actually one distinct moment, I'm in my dorm room and I'm reading and I can't just put this book down. And it's talking about David trying to sign John Lennon's solo career. And I start literally screaming in my bed, like, just go to Yoko Ono. I know everybody's being hard on her, but she has his ear, go to Yoko Ono. And I turned the page and David was the only one to go to Yoko Ono and he signed his solo career. And it made me think, I can do this. I think this way. I was in Atlanta.
Think what way?
Think the way David thought. To think outside the box. What seemed natural to me is never really the way everyone else thinks. And I was in Atlanta, Georgia in 2000. It was just an epic place to be for music. You had Dallas Austin, Jermaine Dupri, Outkast, T.I., Ludacris coming up.
Yeah.
Jazzy Faye was a guy on the radio who had this young girl, 17, 16, Sierra, that he was, put out the song 1 2 Step. It was all happening in that era of the early 2000s. And Usher is, Usher, and it was exciting. And I got to be in the streets of Atlanta coming up with these people.
I heard you were driving a purple Mercedes.
I bought a purple Benz on eBay, cash, so I could fake it till I make it at the clubs.
Did it work?
It got me in the door with a lot of people. and people still talk about that Benz. And when I was 20 years old, I'd done some stuff for this guy, Chris Lava on the radio. He had a manager named Shaka Zulu and Jeff, two brothers. Shaka was the program director at Hot 97. Chris was the big morning show, Chris Lava. And he had a rap named Ludacris. And he was coming up as a rapper and he had this song, Fantasy. And I was throwing parties for them and kind of people knew me for throwing my parties. And then this guy, Jermaine Dupri, was like, you got more potential than parties. And within 6 months, I was running marketing for So Def, and I was 20 years old.
So what made you good at marketing? In other interviews, you talk about how you were getting on a plane with Jermaine Dupri, presenting marketing plans to him.
The reason I was good at marketing, if I was good,
Yeah.
but the reason
I thought you were.
Listen, the reason I had a successful career with marketing and also A&R and making records is because my belief that I am not extraordinary. It's actually the opposite. I believe extraordinary people know how to speak to a small amount of extraordinary people. I'm ordinary as hell. I what makes me move usually makes millions of other people move. What makes me tick usually makes millions of other people tick. So my gift was just what my parents gave me, which was stupid confidence that what I liked, maybe other people liked. I think that's the difference. Most people have the gift of being able to speak to the masses. They're just afraid to find out. And I think the way my parents raised me and my siblings, they were like, if there's no leader in the room, be a leader. So I think that is how I was able to kind of put my ideas forward. And I also was in a unique place where the internet was really taking off and social media was taking off. And I was native to that. I was that age where first on Facebook, first on MySpace, first to use YouTube, that generation. So, having that love of music, having, being native to the new technology, it was just a perfect storm, and being in the city of Atlanta where you were close to the culture.
But kudos to you for being willing to adapt it, because a lot of people just shied away from the internet and didn't want to be a part of it.
Look, I saw it as a way to reach a lot of people, and I saw it as a way to convey a message to a lot of people. And that's, one of the hardest things in marketing. You can have a really good idea, but how do you get it out to the masses, and how do you expand it and grow it? And I was so afraid of failure at that point in my life. I was leaning into all these things, and it really was, I think when you're younger, you think you're manifesting everything. You think like, I'm going to make this happen. And as you get older, you start to realize how lucky you are to be in the position you're in. That yes, there's a little bit of manifestation, but there's also a lot of, the universe and God putting you in a position to do that stuff. And I think that's where you understand, like, as you get older, it's not you necessarily who's doing it, you're kind of a custodian of that energy. And I think if you get blessed enough to be a custodian of that energy, you have to treat it as such.
You're like a vessel, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
You said earlier when you read The Operator, you felt like somebody flawed could make it and could do it. Did you feel flawed when you were in college?
Yeah. I mean,
How so?
Well, I think we're all flawed. I think we're all perfectly flawed. And
I don't know if everyone's aware of that in college. So it's
yes, they
interesting
are.
to me that you felt that.
Yes, they are. They might not say it. I don't think I was saying it that way when I was younger. The truth is, what drives you as an entrepreneur is sometimes the thing that makes you not great at intimacy. Like what makes you good at business is not always best in intimacy. When you're great at business, sometimes you're always thinking about the next move. You're always thinking about the next day because you're so afraid of losing. You're so afraid of something coming and get you. You don't know how to be present.
Right.
And at that age, I didn't feel enough. I didn't feel like, I was worthy of anything. I felt like I needed to earn being worthy. I didn't think, that's probably why I went by Scooter since I was 18 years old. It was like a nickname when I was younger.
Right.
And almost like I took it on because I didn't think Scott was enough.
But it's interesting to me because you had this dichotomy where you're saying you didn't feel like you were enough, and yet there was something inside you that was willing to bet on yourself and say, I'm going to do this. Like in Atlanta, and then when you found Justin.
It's an incredible driver, insecurity. Insecurity is an amazing driver for business. Because when you're insecure that you're not enough, what do? You build to be enough. You build a life for yourself that other people can respect because deep down, you don't know if you're worthy. And I was going through that as a young person I thought, well, the only thing that makes me worthy of anything is building and building and building. And at that point in my life, I was working from a competitive mind of like, I have to achieve, otherwise I'm a loser.
Got it.
And, being older now, I'm in a place now where like I moved from a creative mind where there is no end. There's no winning, there's no losing. I just get to create because I've gotten to a good place here, which I'm sure we'll talk about because there was a lot of trials and tribulations and being misunderstood and hard times. And it's never the success that teaches you how to love this. It's being misunderstood. It's being ridiculed. It's sitting in your place and just being like, this feels unfair. And then you have to actually look inward and realize the only thing that's actually going to overcome it all is like looking inside and being good.
I'm so glad you said the word misunderstood because that's a word that kept coming back for me as I was preparing for this interview. So I want to get to it, but there was something that your friend Jay Williams said in an NPR interview, and you touched on it a little bit. He said you can spot talent with an X-ray-like precision. Is it a feeling you get? I'm interested in that.
It's like falling in love.
Say more.
You can make a plan to fall in love. You can say, I'm going to meet the love of my life this year. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have 2.5 kids and a picket fence. Life does not work that way.
Right.
And for me, finding talent, finding stars, it's like that. It's like you meet someone and you just know.
So it's this feeling.
It's
like
a gut
where do you
feeling.
feel it in your body?
It's almost like a download. It's almost like a cheat code sometimes where, sometimes I'm like wanting to figure it out, but sometimes it's like, hey, just letting you know, this is it. It has nothing to do with you. I'm just giving you the heads up because you know what to do. And you're like, that's what I'm saying. You're almost like a custodian of this energy. It almost feels like it's not even coming from me. It's like someone giving me the heads up.
Yeah.
And then I feel this certainty, and it almost like I get a download of I could see everything that's to come, and I know where to go. And I think sometimes that can be with a talent. Sometimes that can be with a company. Sometimes that can be with an entrepreneur. It would be nice if it happened, in my love life again. But like I said, you can't make plans for it. It shows up when it's supposed to. I was just very fortunate that for some reason I was placed to see it a bunch of different times.
There's an interview magazine article where Donald Glover interviews himself. And he said, "Are you ever worried about staying relevant?" Donald asks himself. And his answer was, "I'm never worried about relevance because I have vision." That's a big word.
I think things change as you get older and you have different experiences. I was with two great entrepreneurs yesterday morning. And young people building a really great company, not in entertainment.
Yeah.
And we were having a very interesting conversation, and we talked about this place of self-work that I've gone the last 5-6 years. And one of them said that he was nervous. He wants to do this self-work, but what if it takes away the dog in him? What if it takes away that energy? And I kind of smiled because I was like, well, you'll do it when you're supposed to, because you won't care about that when you have new priorities. And I promise you, if that's supposed to be there, it will be there. And all you're doing is delaying it, and eventually the universe smacks you around the way it did with me to like, it's time.
Did it take the dog away?
Oh, absolutely not. It just gave me an opportunity to enjoy being here. You know, it taught me how to be present. It taught me I had to lose for me to understand what I have and for me to find myself again. And like, I wish other people would figure it out faster. I needed to slap in the face a little bit. But when you talk about this idea of vision or relevance, I think you just show up every single day and you can make long-term plans, and then the universe makes its own plans, and you just try to be on the journey. Like my favorite poem, Ithaca, it's this concept of like traveling. It's by Kafafi. So this idea of traveling to the island of Ithaca in the Greek islands, and all the things that you're going to see and experience along the way. And when you finally reach your destination, Ithaca, if you find her poor, she did not fool you, because it was never about getting to Ithaca. It was always about the journey, and then you understand what Ithaca means. And I think it's a metaphor for life. Like this idea of vision or anything, it's cool experiences, cool stories. It has what, you know, has me sitting here with you and all the questions you're gonna ask that are gonna make me comfortable and uncomfortable.
How are you feeling so far?
I'm fine. At the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is how you see yourself and how you see your relationship with the people that really love you. And it's, you know, the question I ask myself is like, why would I even do this? Like, you know, it's going to be speaking to a lot of people who don't know me. And, you know, what I've learned over the years is both the praise I received at many points in my career and the hate I received in many of my career, neither of them were deserved. The people praising me didn't know me.
Yeah.
And the people hating me didn't know me.
So a lot of music managers operate behind the scenes, and you were a really public figure. Was that purposeful? Was that a business decision?
Yes. It actually is because of Outkast. Outkast had a manager, and they won the album for Album of the Year. It was the first hip hop group to ever win Album of the Year.
Okay.
And that year, there was a big party in Atlanta, and their manager was on the bill of the party with another executive. And the following year, Outkast broke up, and that executive came back, and he did a party, but the manager wasn't on the party ever again. And I realized too much of his career, I was 19, 20 years old when this happened. Too much of his career was correlated to the decision-making and the success or failure of someone else. So I decided that while I wanted to build up acts, I wanted to build up myself so that I could maintain and keep going. And I have things that have been great about that, because, you know, when acts of mine have gone through really hard times, I've been able to maintain a power base to maintain them and help them and build other acts. But at the same time, I also, as you know, became a very easy target, because in this business, you know, became the big bad executive.
Did you enjoy the recognition ever?
When it was productive. I'm much more of a homebody than people realize. Like, I can go and have a good time, but I like watching movies and hanging out with my kids and like just being home. And I still hang out with my best friends since I was 11 years old for the most part. So yes, I liked it, because any human being, like when you're being praised or people appreciate what you do, that feeds the ego, it feeds the soul, and it feels really nice. So I can't say I did enjoy that. But at the same time, I liked it when you could give away tickets. You know, when the power was used for like the most influential things in my life, with that were being able to like, you know, respond with Ariana to the Manchester attack, to help the kids from Parkland with March for Our Lives, to, you know, help my friend Bun B with a fundraiser and a telethon for the hurricane victims of Florida and Texas, or to simply, you know, join a board of a charity and like helps Make-A-Wish. You know, it's like there are perks that come with it, and then there are negatives. But in my opinion, if you use it properly, the perks far outweigh the negative.
So you never wish you could undo that?
I mean, there were definitely times where I was like, this ain't fun. You know, you gotta be strong for some of the stuff that comes when you're in the public eye. Some of it, like, I don't want for my kids, but I also don't think I'm like a well-known celebrity. You know, I think there's people who know what I've done. There's people who don't know what I've done and assume they know. I think that it served me well for the things that I want to achieve, but I don't necessarily need it anymore.
Would you be sad if it went away?
Not at all. I mean, as long as I got my kids and my friends, I'm good.
What does it take to be a really good manager? I was looking up like David Geffen's model, which is very similar to your model. It's more of like an equity model. Irving Azoff did like a touring model more so. Everybody had a different vibe. You were the first one to do this equity model, plus be a public figure.
We were very successful. And the acts that we worked with were incredibly successful.
Yeah.
And everyone did incredibly well across the board. And I'm really proud of the work that we did. And sometimes it's hard because, when you leave, there's people from the outside that want to have revisionist history and, this, that. But at the end of the day, I got love for everybody I worked with and nothing to say negative. I'm very appreciative of those 23 years. Yeah. And I wrote about it. Like I did a post and, wrote all the explanations why I stopped managing. It was hard because there was a year where legally I wasn't allowed to say why I stopped managing, and everyone had all their assumptions and stories, and this person left and this. And I'm like, I lost 43 clients in one day. But legally I couldn't until we resolved certain things. And then when I finally could, it just felt nice to do it, not so much for everyone else, but once I said it publicly, I held myself accountable that I wouldn't go back because I knew I didn't want to. I think when you're asking me like what it takes to be a good manager, I think it differs. I think some managers aren't amazing at touring. Luckily I had people on my team who were. Some managers are amazing at cutting the deals. Some are, amazing at marketing, building a relationship.
What was it for you though?
I think we were really good at marketing. We had a really good touring team. I was one manager who built an amazing team. I stood on the shoulders of a lot of people. Jules is one of the best brand deals out there. Allison is, was amazing at like dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and like, running the touring. Jen
Do you think it was more like EQ or IQ?
I think it was a combination. I think like I could cut deals and we would do deals that no one had ever done before. But also it was a lot of building relationships, being there in the trenches, having understanding and being empathetic to what they were going through. And many times I've heard other managers tell me you got too close. You had too close of a relationship. Like that was, something you shouldn't have done. But I don't have any regrets, because at the end of the day, relationships ebb and flow, family ebbs and flows, and those people will always be family.
Yeah.
But I think what was interesting is not what made me a good manager, but in the end, what made me a bad manager. When I finally did the self-work, I knew my time as a manager was coming to an end. What made me a great manager for 20 years was my incessant need for them to tell me that I was enough. For them to tell me, like, you're doing a good job, so I had self-worth. And when I stepped out and was in a tough place in my personal life and everything else, and I chose to step away, and that was the first step, no phone, no email for the first time in 25 years, and really go back into my childhood and dig deep into who I actually am. When I went to that place, I never, ever let anyone call me Scott. I was only Scooter. I said, I never felt like a Scott. When I got out, I loved my name, Scott. I appreciated Scooter, but I knew Scott had actually made him, and that little boy was back in charge.
But I can imagine your clients needed you to tell them that they were great. Like it was a codependent relationship.
100%. But when I got out, I wanted to be there for myself for the first time, and I wanted to be there for my kids. And so much of my life for 20 years was dedicated to them. And when I got out, I just wasn't a good manager the way I was before. And I know that. In fact, at the end, Ariana actually said it to me. She was like, you haven't really been the manager you were for the last couple of years. And she was right, and she deserved better at that point. And, my friend Brandon Creed is her manager now, and he's crushing it, and she's happy, and she's crushing it. And I'm so happy for both of them, like, honestly.
Were you burnt out?
I think it was a part of being burnt out, but I also think the course of all the relationships, like, it wasn't like just me, it's they could see it too, and their need, like they deserve to have someone, that's the job. You're supposed to be there for them. And when I wasn't, you know, in that position, if my soul wasn't in it the same way. So I think it was a mutual thing in the end of like an understanding, like this is, and I've talked about it, we talked about 23 years in the post and I spoke about it all. But I think nothing makes me happier than to see each one of them continue to succeed.
Right. I've heard you say you like seeing everybody win.
Yeah, I like seeing everybody win because then everybody can pay for their own vacation. I call it my vacation theory. But the other reason I like seeing everybody win is no matter what, it's like, it's what me and my ex-wife talk about. Like, we have 3 amazing kids and we're tied to each other forever. That's family. And I want to see her do well because that's my family no matter what, whether we're a couple or not. We're still co-parents, we're still family forever. And that's the way I feel about the acts. It's like, there's going to be an ebbs and flows, and you know, you look back at history and certain people feel this and other people come in different people's ears and say all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, for me at least, it's all love. Because no matter what, we did that. And we did that together, and no one can take that away. So, you know, why not, like Dave, Little Dicky. He and I had a dinner and he was talking to me about a relationship with someone else from his past in his career. And I managed him for a while. And he was frustrated. And I said, listen, does that person want to be in your business life anymore? He said, no. I was like, do you want them in your life anymore? He goes, no. I was like, then why can't you just celebrate who you were once to each other and let the rest go? And he did that. And I think that's what I try to do with all these people in my life. It's like, there's so much noise out there in the world that we're in, especially in this town, in this business. Everyone seems to have an opinion. I'm just going to celebrate who we were to each other always.
I like that. I want to talk about your first client, Justin Bieber. You guys had such a ride together.
Asher Roth was my first.
That's a great call. Was Justin your second?
Yes.
Okay, I want to talk about...
Actually, no, I had one called Kato. Then I know one called the Bama Boys. You just know the ones that worked really big.
I want to talk about your biggest clients.
Okay. Asher was, we did I Love College. That was my first hit. And that was the first success. And then Justin.
I was in college partying to I Love College.
You know, Justin was in the studio when we cut it, in the makeshift studio we had in the basement, because Asher used to literally babysit Justin for me sometimes. Because Justin was so young and he would go hang out at Asher's house and they'd like play, you know, Mario Kart and like watch Justin.
Hilarious.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, I have a picture of like all of us on the stoop of the greenhouse where like we recorded Asher stuff and I put them up to live. And right down the street in a townhouse is where I put Justin and his mom. And it was like this makeshift crew of like us trying to make it.
Okay, so I'm sorry, it was my mistake. You're right.
I will forgive you.
Justin was not your first client, but I want to talk about your ride with him. I don't think we've seen fandom like that since the Beatles. That was really wild. Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because Paul McCartney,
I
think it was like the first or second Grammys we ever went to. He like saw me in the hallway. I'll never forget this. And he goes, "You're Scooter, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm one of the only people in the world who knows what you're going through right now." And for me, I was so excited because I share a birthday with Paul McCartney. And when I got to tell him we share a birthday, for me, that's incredibly exciting to share a birthday with Paul McCartney. Turns out, didn't really excite him that he shared a birthday with me. He kind of was like, that's nice.
I can imagine why.
Yeah, I don't think he's walking around like, I want to tell Scooter we share a birthday. So I was like, oh yeah, I guess the other way, it's not really as exciting.
But I think that's great because that was your second Grammy, so it was still all new and exciting to you.
Yeah, by the way, as long as I'm seeing it through the eyes of someone who's experiencing it the first time, it's always fun for me.
There's videos all over the internet of you guys running around giving out tickets to people who either couldn't get tickets, couldn't afford tickets, and you hand them front row seats. They're crying. You guys donated $1 from every ticket sold on Justin's Believe tour to support Pencils of Promise. During the Justice World Tour, Bieber launched the Justice in Action initiative. He's the top recording artist for granting wishes for Make-A-Wish.
Correct.
When I think of philanthropic musicians, I always think of Dolly Parton, but I'm not sure I've seen a young person do it on that scale. What about the give back was so important to you guys?
I don't think you get the rest without it. You know, my grandparents used to say, if your cup is being filled with water by God, you better start pouring it in other cups before it just makes a mess and spills all over the place. If we keep getting that energy, we have to share it. And that was always something important to my mother. It was important within my culture. It's called tzedakah, which is giving and charity. And it's biblical. Like, it literally says, you know, in the Torah, in the Bible, it literally says, when getting your crops, you're supposed to leave the field at the end untouched so people can come in and get some of the crops.
Right.
And I'm a very firm believer in that. And I'm very grateful that Justin and Ariana and Demi and all these artists, J Balvin, all these artists I've gotten to work with over the years, all of them said yes. And we brought in Shauna Knepp, who now runs our family foundation, but she's always run philanthropic and still does for most of the artists I've worked with and these families, and she's just absolutely amazing. And our job is to make it, and her job is to give it away. And that's just something really amazing. So I'm really grateful to all of the artists who signed up to do those incredible acts. I'm grateful to Justin for how many wishes he made over those tours and how many kids he made happy. And now, like, I'm very fortunate. I get to serve on the national board of Make-A-Wish. And whenever I go to a board meeting, Leslie, our CEO, who's incredible, I always tell her, these board meetings, I benefit more than the kids, because getting to hear the stories, getting to witness these wishes fills me up. And the greatest thing you can do is give, because it's like, I promise you, you make another dollar, you're going to be looking for more and trying to find out how to be happy. You give something, you're going to get closer to that happiness.
I think now you see Chance the Rapper, he gave $1 million to the Chicago public school system. Taylor Swift would give people their college education, their tuition. Do you think it's fair to say that you guys changed the culture of pop stardom and geared it a little bit more towards philanthropy?
Look, that's a really beautiful thing to say, but I think the civil rights movement was paid for by Sidney Poitier and people like him. Mm-hmm. I think that artists throughout history have stepped up to help others. I don't think that started with us. I think we were inspired by the people before us.
You've had time away from that part of your life. What do you look back on and feel the most joy about?
Well, I also didn't know an adult life was like this. I've been managing since I was 19 and full time since I was 19, 2 phones, answering every phone call.
Yeah.
So the last 2.5 years not managing, because I announced, it was I guess a year and a half ago, the 23 years, but it's really been 2.5 years since I made this decision.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could have a weekend. I didn't know you could actually binge watch an entire series on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's epic. I'm loving it. And I'm still I got the hunger again to go do other stuff, but it's been really nice to be so present with my children, mm-hmm. and be so present with my friends. And my friends talk to me about it. They're like, you use some of these skills to make sure we're all good at Stagecoach, or if we go to Coachella or something like that, but you used to use these skills in other ways, and it's kind of fun for you to use them for us. And it's been really nice. When I look back at the career, it's a lot of small moments, mm-hmm. and then really big philanthropic moments.
Okay.
It's like a little moment on a road trip, or being in a restaurant in Europe on a promo trip when we were first starting, and having laughs with the original crew. It's watching Marcus Mumford come out at the Manchester show and do the moment of silence and seeing 65,000 people completely silent.
Yeah.
When you didn't even know if they were going to show up because of acts of terror. It's little things like backyard concerts that no one will ever see, with a guitar being passed around a fire pit. It's all the things that made all the nonsense worth it. Mm-hmm. All the things that make me happy when I look back, I would have done for free. And being able to tell the stories in private settings when people ask, or sometimes that's the best moment, because you take it for granted. You almost act like, you're feeling the injuries of it sometimes, and you don't realize how many great things came from it, mm-hmm. and how many beautiful moments and how many experiences. And honestly, it's just a lot of love. You're looking back, even being on the road in the beginning and pulling into Walmarts at 2:00 in the morning, and the things that you'll see in a Walmart at 2:00 in the morning in the middle of America, epic. Epic.
Do you have any regrets about that time?
I think everything happens exactly the way it should. However, I don't want to use mental health as a crutch, because I think too many times people do that.
Yeah.
I think people say, oh, mental health. It's almost like they don't want any adversity in their life. And I don't think unless you take responsibility for your life, do you actually learn or grow. But I do think the regret I have is not understanding taking self-work time, mm-hmm. for both myself and encouraging it for the people I work with, I think we all could have avoided a lot of pain. I think we were so young and we all moved so fast that we didn't know, and I didn't figure that part out. You're moving so fast and you're having all this success and you're not realizing the toll it could take on you long term of not being present completely to the moment, of all the pressures that come with it that you're not prepared for when they finally hit. And I think understanding now at this age the importance of 1 to 2 weeks a year where you really take the time to go inward and build a foundation for yourself so when those waves come, you can swim through them. Mm-hmm. I didn't understand that lesson until I was older and I had to deal with hard things, and I wish I knew it earlier and I would have been able to encourage it for everyone I was working with as well.
That makes sense. So you pluck someone from Canada off of YouTube. You guys have this insane ride together. And then the working relationship has since come to an end. Mm-hmm. When did you guys know it was the end of that relationship? Because to me, it must sort of be like an intimate partner. Like you just wake up one day and feel it. Like it's over. Or was it a slow roll?
I just think, listen, a lot of things happened. And I think over time, each one of us is making decisions for our own personal life, and sometimes you drift. Sometimes a lot of people get in between. Sometimes, I think the story's not done. Not in a working relationship, but I think that's what happens with relationships like that. They ebb and they flow and they go up and down, and sometimes they go in one direction, sometimes they go another, but you always keep your heart open to the fact that that's family, and it goes up and down, and you have each other's back in the end. And I think that, for me, my life went a certain direction where I was done managing and I wanted something else for my life. And I think his life went a certain direction where he was ready to really control his own destiny. And I think both are appropriate. And I respect completely, that he is his own man now, and that he wants to build his career moving forward the way he sees fit, and he should. Same way I respect the fact that I want to build my life a certain way moving forward. And I think you do so with love and respect, and you don't really, sometimes with other people, it was like, okay, this is the day, and you point to it. And other times you realize it just gets there one day. Mm-hmm. And I think you treat both with respect.
Was it tough?
At times. But like I said, I feel like everything happens in the timing it should. Yeah. The stuff that I was dealing with in my personal life was much tougher. Divorce with kids, I wouldn't wish on your worst enemy, even with someone like my ex, who we did with such respect for each other. But I don't think stories end the way you're describing. I think they're chapters, and real relationships, it's just you're in a different chapter, you're each in a different point in your life, and sometimes it comes together. It's like a good friend, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you could be, other times you could be like, I haven't talked to you in years. You pick it up like that. It's just, I think the only thing that's definitively ending is a lifetime. So the rest of it is, you never know.
Well, the way you're describing it makes it seem like you're hopeful that it'll come back together. Is that
not in
true?
a business way.
Right.
I'd say I'm hopeful in the fact of he's not done, and I'm not done cheering for him.
You guys created such a strong fan base, and recently his fans have been concerned about his health. People are speculating. USA Today said Justin Bieber's crashing out. There's videos of him at Coachella where fans raise concern about his appearance. What goes through your mind when you hear me say that or see those videos?
That people should, if they really respect him, they should leave him and his family alone. I think he has a newborn child. I think he's married. I think that life is not easy. And if they really did care, they would give him an opportunity to be a human being.
Yeah. There was a moment, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but there was a moment when you yourself made headlines last year. We repeatedly saw these headlines, and it seemed like things were leaking, where either an artist on your roster was coming out or leaking that they were leaving your management company, and it seemed as though you were just taking hit after hit.
Yeah.
How did it feel at that point? Because you mentioned you were under NDA, so you couldn't say anything.
Well, I also had a dream, so I couldn't say anything. I was under NDA, but my publicist could have, like, for our company, could have said, hey, that's not true, but I wouldn't let her.
Why?
Because I had a dream.
What?
Yeah, I had a dream.
Can you share?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into names, but one of my biggest clients came to me and said that they wanted to spread their wings and do something different. But I also knew that that was appropriate at the time because I felt the same way for quite some time, but I was too afraid to say it out loud because I was too afraid of who am I without them.
Okay.
So when this happened, it was almost a catalyst for me realizing, like, it's now. And I was on a vacation with my best friends who really, in my divorce, picked me up. And I had never done, like, a boys trip in my entire life, my entire adult life. Like, this was the first one, and I took all of them. And, like, we went to Europe, and I took them on a trip. And, like, I'm talking, he's gonna love this because I'm saying in the pocket. Like, I got a buddy, Paul Brown from Bridgeport. He loves when I say his name. And, you know, Mike and Jay and Book and, like, you know, all these guys who, like, came on this trip. Dave, Usher joined because we've adopted him into the childhood group. But some of these guys had never been to Europe. And, like, I was like, I'm taking you guys because you were there for me and I want to do something for you. And it was one of the greatest trips of my life other than being with my children. Mm-hmm. And during this trip, this artist said this to me, that maybe we should change something. And I realized, I'm like, actually, they're right. Like, I've been avoiding this for quite some time. And I went and I actually took a nap. And I had a very vivid dream. And I have a tattoo on the back of my arm about this dream.
What does the tattoo say?
It's not what it says. It is a man standing in a giant flame, and the flame cannot touch him. And inside of him is the full universe. And basically what the dream said to me is, you are trying to navigate the perfect ending. And if you do that, you're gonna get slapped in the face because that's not what we want for you. You have to pull the Band-Aid. You have to stop managing and do what you know you should have done for quite some time. And then you have to go silent. If you do that, I will let you have the rest of this 10-day vacation. No one will interrupt, which has never happened in my entire career. Mm-hmm. And you will have the best time of your life, and it'll show you what your life could be on the other side. But on the final day, all hell is gonna break loose, and everyone's gonna say they all left you, and people are gonna completely misunderstand this whole thing. So I wake up, it's vivid, and I tell my best friend, Jay Williams, who's on the trip. And Jay's like, dude, no one cares, you're a manager, it's not gonna happen like that. And I was like, I'm telling you. So the rest of the trip is amazing, no one bothers. I make the calls that day.
Yeah.
I'm no longer managing. It's done. All the clients know. I've, like, had the phone call. I spent a whole day making calls. The trip is incredible. Best trip of my life. Loved by my friends, loving on my friends. It was a beautiful, beautiful trip. It's one of the greatest trips all of us joke around will ever have.
Okay.
The final day we're flying home and my phone just starts to go bzz, 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 and literally all hell is breaking loose. The press is saying every client's leaving me. People are making t-shirts, overheard LA. I was managed by Scooter Braun and I left him. Like, it was crazy. And the publicist is calling me being like, we gotta respond, and I said, you can't. Because if I do, then I'm gonna get in more trouble. I'm gonna get slapped. I had this dream, and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you have to let it go. It's gonna last for a week or two, and then it's gonna disappear. And they're like, no, we need to say something, we need to say something. And sure enough, I stood in the fire. It didn't touch me. It all burned down around me. All my worst fears of what would happen if I stopped managing took place. And then after 2 weeks, it went away, and it wasn't that bad. And the dream was real, and it sounds crazy, and I've actually never told that story publicly, but that's why I didn't respond. It wasn't even about an NDA. I couldn't write 23 years for another year because we had to finish a lot of the contracts because of chemo, like lots of different reasons.
Right.
But responding, hey, this isn't true, I just couldn't because of this dream, and then I went and got the tattoo because of it.
And have you ever listened to a dream before, or this was the first you have?
Yeah.
And
dreams have guided me in my life a bunch of times.
Really?
Yeah. When they're that vivid, I think you should.
Since you were a little kid?
Yeah, sometimes they're daydreams, sometimes they're this, but that was really, really vivid, and it sucked because it was against everything I wanted to do. And it was like, it was hard, and it wasn't fun, and it wasn't like, hey, this is gonna be an easy dream for you. We're asking you to do something completely out of your character. You have to let go. You're not allowed to manipulate this. You're not allowed to try and control this. You have to let go and let it burn. And that was really difficult, but the crazier it got and the more people talked, the more conviction I had that the dream was true. So it was like the more people said, and the more out of hand. I mean, they were like, Carly Rae Jepsen left Scooter Braun. I didn't manage Carly in like 5 years. Carly's calling me like, what am I having to do with this? I'm like, I don't know. Like, Adina Menzel. I'm like, it started getting crazy. People I hadn't managed recently.
Right.
And the crazier it got, the more I was like, God is good and it is real, and like, trust.
So for the record, your clients did not leave you,
One did.
but the rest didn't. You left your clients.
No, not that I left my clients. We had an honest conversation about really where I had been for quite some time. And some were like, what does this mean? And will you still help? And this, that, and the other. But, for the record, I don't ever want to disrespect. I didn't leave anybody. We left each other. It was time.
Okay. That's a wild dream. Did you ever...
I think the reason it was also crazy because no one could imagine that, like, I would want that. Like, no one imagined, like, when you're in that position that you actually don't want to do that job anymore.
Yeah.
But you know who wasn't surprised? Every one of my close friends.
Okay.
No one checked on me because when they saw it, they've known for years how I felt. So they understood. But I didn't leave anybody. Those are the greatest people to work with in the world, like the most talented people in the world. It was just time.
Did you ever feel betrayed by a client?
Yeah, and I'm sure they felt betrayed by me. I don't want to, I think it's easy to point fingers at someone else and say, you did me dirty. People hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, when people have heard things over the years and misconstrued, or someone gets in their ear, they can feel, oh, he did this or he did that. Shit, the internet thinks I'm like all powerful, like, and I can do all kinds of things I have nothing to do with. But I think I try to have empathy in every situation because I felt betrayed before. I try to imagine if they're acting that way, probably they're feeling the same way somehow. And I think it's just easier to not hold on to that energy.
You managed Kanye West for a stint, and...
A little while.
How long?
It was like 2-3 years.
So your grandparents are Holocaust survivors. You stand up for Jewish people around the world. And Kanye West is now an anti-Semite and self-proclaimed Nazi. I'm curious what it feels like to have tried to help guide someone who now stands in opposition of so many of your deepest values.
The last time he spoke about me, he actually, he did a Charlemagne interview, and there's like a clip of it, and he talked about the relationship we had where I helped him. And he actually says, like, this Jewish man helped me because two of my brothers are black. And he was talking about my relationship with my brothers allowed me to have an understanding on how to talk to a black man because I have family that's black. And he was saying how I helped him over the years. And then 3-4 years later, the narrative that you're discussing started. I don't know him anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think the person that I knew wasn't someone who says those things. And I think sometimes the hardest thing to do with someone you care about is mourn them while they're still here. And for me, the person that I knew is not the person that I'm seeing. So I don't have a relationship anymore. And I'd rather stand proudly in who I am and who my people are and be gracious and kind to all people than be a part of that. So I don't have any ill will. I have no interest in turning into the monster that people, with anti-Semitism or hate want you to be. Mm-hmm. I'd rather be someone who is focused on positivity and being damn proud of who I am and who my grandparents were and who my people are, and not fall for this narrative that I'm seeing all too prevalent since October 7th. And that's why I'm not scared or interested in talking about anti-Semitism as much as I am in talking about what a beautiful, kind, and loving people we are, and it is to be a Jewish person, of Jewish faith and Jewish culture. And I'd rather tell someone, instead of like, don't say that about me, I'd rather say, come to Shabbat and see who we are. So, that's...
Do you think he can be reached, though?
I don't know. And I don't know him. And I think right now I have 3 beautiful kids that need a dad to focus on them and make sure they're prepared and strong in this world. And that's going to be my focus.
Does any part of you ever wish that you didn't manage any of these people?
No. I love my life. And I think my life has been like almost like this weird Forrest Gump journey of like, how the hell did I get in that situation? I got to like travel the world with Justin, with Ariana, but also with like Psy doing Gangnam Style and like Carly Rae singing Call Me Maybe and The Wanted doing Glad You Came and seeing Tori Kelly sing at a coffee shop to winning Grammys to, you know, Dan and Shay, and then all the different things, so many different wild stories and artists and tech company. Like it's just all these weird situations I found myself in over the years and still find myself in. And I always say, like when you say, do you not wish you managed them? I always think of, do you remember Carl Lewis? He won the gold medal for the US. He was like the fastest man in the world when we were kids. Me and my brother Adam, we were in an airport when we were probably like 7 and 5 or like 8 and 6. And Carl Lewis had just won the gold medal and he was in the airport. And my dad pointed it out. And me and my brother kept walking and then running past him and then letting him pass us. And then we'd run past him and we were like, we're the fastest guy in the world. And there was one time where he kind of like looked at us and he made a move to like sprint and we like all giggled. I'm 43 years old. I have never forgot that moment.
No.
And I said to Chris Paul, who's an amazing point guard and an amazing friend, I said to him one time, I said, you know what, Chris, the coolest part about our lives now is that our everyday is someone else's forever. You know, and that things that happen to us on a daily basis is that story that little kid remembered at 43 years old. And as long as I don't take that for granted, how cool is that? And like that job afforded me all those memories. So I love it.
If you had to throw like one fish back into the ocean though.
One fish back into the ocean? Ooh, this is gonna be fun. If I had to throw one fish back into the ocean, you're saying like one client?
Yeah, like if one client.
Honestly, I've never even thought of this, but actually, like, every experience was worth it.
So if people didn't know you from your work with all these artists like Bieber and Ariana, they definitely know you from the Taylor Swift saga.
What happened?
Started back in 2019, and I think we get quotes here and there around the internet, but we never really get the full story from you. From your perspective, what happened?
Look, for me, it was 6 years ago. I think, like, going backwards and, like, revisiting this is a waste of time. I think that I just assume, you know, since then there have been more deep dives, but I think people cared less and less as the years. So I think a lot of the facts are out there now if people actually choose to go look at them. But I always choose to think like, the only thing I didn't appreciate is it was so public without an understanding of actually what was going on. But I think once you do that, it's hard to put it back in the box. But I also think that, you know, like when Taylor says that she wasn't offered the masters, the reason I was under NDA was because we were in negotiations to sell it back to her. I just choose to believe her that maybe they didn't tell her.
Who's they?
Her team. Like maybe her team didn't tell her, didn't understand the negotiations but the thing, you know, for me, the only thing that I really regret is that it's easy to have a monster if you never meet them. And Taylor and I have only met 3 times in our life. I think at that point we hadn't seen each other in 2-3 years. I was managing people she wasn't a fan of. And she probably saw my name come up and was like, I don't like those people, so I don't like him. But, you know, we never had an opportunity to sit in front of each other and actually have a conversation to this day. And I think that, you know, most of the time when people actually sit in front of each other, the monster isn't real. That there's an understanding, that there's a healing, you know, that, you know, people can have a conversation. And because when I was asking for that, it just never happened. It went really awry, and I chose to not say much. But the cool part is, if you actually pay attention, everybody in the end won.
What do you mean?
Well, yes, she could have bought them back, and that could have been part of the victory. But I choose to think her team maybe didn't tell her. But like, we ended up, when they turned it down, we ended up selling it to someone else because she didn't want us to have it. We did very well in that sale because we bought it at a really great price, and the value of masters went up. And the thesis when I sold it was she had announced she was going to do re-records. And if you understand music, the value went up for masters because Spotify and streamers created a longer decay than buying just CDs. So it's like people would listen to them more, so there's a longer decay, but it's still decaying. But when she re-records, all ships rise in a world of streaming. So people were going on and they were A-Bing them. They were listening to see how much they sounded like. So she did incredibly well. And basically had the biggest moment of her career, reinvigorating her career with each one. It was brilliant on her part. But also, each time she released one, you saw a spike in the original catalog. And that's how we were able to tell, okay, if she doesn't want them, this is still a really great asset. And we actually created an earn out. We did every one of our earn outs, and we were right. So funny enough, everyone involved in the saga, from a business standpoint, won. She's the biggest she's ever been, biggest artist of all time. We did really well with the asset. The people who bought the asset did really well because of those spikes. The only thing that I'm sad about is that's a great example where everybody, all ships can rise, and there doesn't need to be an enemy. There doesn't need to be, and in that, if her team, she could have bought them back, but like, even with not doing that,
right?
I wish kids and people out there understood that like, there are scenarios in life where there doesn't need to be an oppressor and oppressed. There are scenarios in life where it's a misunderstanding, yet everyone can succeed. And the whole reason I did that deal was not only because I believed in Big Machine and Scott and Thomas Rhett and Florida Georgia and all the amazing acts they had on Big Machine, but you don't make a deal at that level unless you believe in her.
Yeah.
So I believed that she was going to become exactly who she's remained to be. And the narrative since then, me even talking about this now, there's going to be hello Swifties, they're going to be yelling and screaming and this, that, and another. You can't say anything right, and it is what it is. And my response to that is they made the horrible miscalculation that I care. My thing is that I don't know those people out there, and if I met them in person and they needed my help as a stranger, I would help them. And I've seen that on a human level. And I think people forget that when you have a fan base that big, if 10,000 people are yelling at you, it feels like the world is ending. But that's less than 1% of a fan base that big.
Yeah.
I think most people are dealing with their own problems. I think most people are dealing with their own insecurities, the same way I am, the same way every artist and every human being is. And I think that it's just a more productive use of your time to not get stuck in the craziness of celebrity fodder and focus more on being kind to people.
Interesting to hear that everybody won. Like net, you made money, she made money. The thing that she told Time that I am curious about is she said, with the Scooter thing, my masters were being sold to someone who actively wanted them for nefarious reasons, in my opinion. What do you think she's referring to?
I don't know. I don't have any nefarious reasons. That was a major risk for me at the time to buy that company. I couldn't afford to do it for nefarious reasons to go, like just from a financial standpoint, that doesn't make any sense. I needed her to be successful for me to take that risk. There's nothing nefarious about it. There's nothing, I don't know what she was told, but the monster, if she ever wanted to sit in front of me, the monster doesn't exist and she'd be met with kindness. I just wish that it didn't take such a toll on my family with all the people that were activated by that stuff. Because it was a very tough time for us, because there's a lot of people out there that don't understand and they hear this stuff and they take it to a level that's really not okay. And I think that's dangerous. You said earlier that she helps pay for people's college tuition.
Yeah.
Good on her. I'd rather talk about her doing that than talk about her nefarious reasons with me.
You think there's a difference between what actually happened and what people think happened?
Yeah, of course. But that's 99% of the things that people read on the internet. But at the same time, that's the whole lesson of like self-work. You can't define yourself by what everyone else thinks, especially people that don't know you. That's the gift of being in the public eye. Because when you're not in the public eye, you can maybe hide it a little bit more.
Right.
But when you're in the public eye, it's so much easier to be misunderstood. And you better go deep inside yourself to figure that part out. But you're talking about someone who doesn't know me and I don't know them, so why would I wish them ill?
You helped make so many other people famous. What surprised you the most when your name was in the headlines? Surprised you about how you reacted?
It was the first time that I had ever had any negative press. What surprised me is how overnight everything I had done before didn't matter. What surprised me is how before that, I was known for helping people and philanthropy and success and all these different things. And what surprised me was like the next day, all of that was out the window. You were defined by this one moment. That's what it felt like. And what a gift. Best gift ever. Because that was when I started the lesson of learning that all the praise that I thrived on before wasn't real either. That's what I told you earlier. The praise wasn't deserved and the hate wasn't deserved, because none of these people knew me. And at that point in my life, I really didn't know myself. So the hate forced me, between that and losing my marriage, which had completely nothing to do with that, something completely different, and there were rumors about that. But like, that was just, all of that led me to wanting to go to a deeper place. And it's the reason I'm doing a podcast with you. Like, I'm almost annoyed that we're talking about this. I think you can understand. I don't want to talk about it. I understand you're doing your job.
I do have 2 more.
Listen, we'll see. But what I can tell you, like, as we joke about it, what I really hope comes out of this is that someone goes, damn, like, I'm going to forget all that noise and maybe look inward. That's what I really hope. Somebody realizes that, like, everything you need is in self-love. And I know that sounds cheesy and cliche, but it is so true. Oh, she's about to hit me with 2 more.
2 more. Have you talked to your kids about it?
I had to at this point. My kids were really young then, but my oldest is 10, and someone said something very mean to him at school. But the beautiful thing is I didn't have to talk that much because my kids know who their dad is.
Yeah. You mentioned a rumor about your marriage. There's been a lot of rumors with Taylor's lyrics. In Vigilante Shit, I hate cursing, but in Vigilante Shit, she writes and sings, she needed cold hard proof, so I gave her some. She had the envelope. Where do you think she got it from?
Go ahead, keep going.
Now she gets the house, gets the kids, gets the pride. Picture me thick as thieves with your ex-wife. Did you ever think these were about you?
No, because I talk to Yale every day. My ex-wife is one of my best friends. So me and my ex-wife laugh about that stuff. We don't even call each other ex. That's like my partner. That's the mother of my children. That is my family for life. I have a tattoo on my finger that says same team after my divorce, because she and I are same team for life. It's what we say to each other. So no, I never thought that was about us. She never thought it was about us. And everyone else kind of feeding into the fire. Great strategy move, but like, nah.
Can we talk about your divorce?
Yeah, sure. I'll decide if I want to answer.
So you seem so fueled by success, at least in your pre-Hoffman life. Did you see divorce as a failure?
At the time, yeah. No one in my family had ever been divorced. And at that time, I had built up this foundation of Scooter, because I didn't think Scott was strong enough. I didn't know that yet. So having the perfect career, the perfect wife, the perfect life, the kids, the success, I thought that made me worthy of love. And it wasn't until our marriage came apart and I couldn't fix it. I felt like a failure because I didn't have a foundation, but it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Because the ups and downs of artist life, the Taylor stuff, none of that actually affected me. Losing my marriage affected me. The idea of not being with my kids 50% of the time deeply affected me. So much so that October 2020, when I didn't really even understand what was going on, I had a suicidal thought at the height of my career for 20 minutes.
Wow. Because
my marriage was falling apart. No one really knew. I knew. I couldn't understand why. And I was like, man, if I can't be the father to them and, this life, I felt like I didn't want to be there. And after that 20 minutes went by, I was like, what the hell was that? That was really scary. I never want to feel like that ever again. And then the next day, I actually opened up to a friend and he got recommended Hoffman. And I went 2 weeks later. The same day Ariana was releasing Dangerous Woman. But I just decided, you've done it this way for so long and look what it got you. This deep depression. Now you got to choose something else. And October 26th, I went into the Hoffman process and started healing and got to this beautiful place where here I am 6 years later, before never divorced. No one ever said anything negative about me in the press. There was everything online was very beautiful. Yeah. There's nothing negative. 6 years later, I'm divorced. People talk shit about me constantly, and I couldn't be happier. I wouldn't trade it in a million years. The relationship I have with my children, the relationship I have with my friends. Do I wish, do you wish certain things didn't happen because they were painful? Absolutely, but they were so necessary.
That must be weird, though, when your insides don't match the outside.
I didn't know because I didn't know how to be present, so I always kept moving because I thought that's how I deserve love. And when I finally had to slow down because I couldn't control it anymore, I broke. I had no foundation, and that's when I had to put myself back together, and other people helped me. And Hoffman didn't fix me, but it started fixing me. And it started me on a journey to like study breath work and study meditation and do therapy and study stoicism and study Kabbalah and study all these different things that I'm still doing every single day today. You asked me about like being flawed. I'm still flawed. I'm still battling every single day.
What do you battle?
You know, there's this book, Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss.
One of my favorite books.
And it's this idea of past lives. And one of the things he talks about
You're
is...
battling your past lives.
No, it's not even battling past lives. It's more this idea that he says, you're here to learn. And usually when you go, it's because there's nothing more for you to learn. The reason why I jump out of planes, like learn how to jump solo for my 42nd birthday, or like I'll go swim with sharks, or it's because I know that I'm so screwed up and I'm still trying to learn every day that I really don't think it's my time to go because that book. So I believe I'm flawed like everyone else because I still feel resistance. I still have moments where I'm like, oh, the ego wants to win, or I'm hurt, or I'm angry, or I'm disappointed, or I'm like hurt by someone. And I'm always trying to go towards it because that's where the good stuff is. And as long as I keep having that resistance and keep having that hurt and keep having that struggle, I know I'm still in it. So I choose to amor fati, love it.
When does that trigger come up?
Randomly. Sometimes it's a friend, you know, is celebrating something and you see it online and you're like, was there a reason I wasn't like, you know, and it's like, it could be on the other side of the country and you just feel like left out or something, or your insecurities make you think you have to do with something that has nothing to do with you.
Is it more personal or professional for you?
Personal.
Yeah.
But it's also like the slightest thing of like, sometimes it's an old thing that you think you were past. And someone brings up an old wound and you were like, damn, I thought I was past that, but okay, I'm not. Let's keep working on this. And luckily, I talk to a therapist once a week, which I never did when I was younger. And she keeps me extremely accountable. She calls me on my bullshit. She goes, no, you're dealing with that. I know you are. And I'm really grateful for her. Hit me with the next one.
No, there's really none. I mean, personally, I'm curious. I don't know if you want to talk about this, but like Hive has since bought, what is it called? Quality Control Music. So like you've since bought other people's masters and there's no headlines and no issues. So it didn't scare you away from it. Do you feel like there is like a legal, moral way to do it? That it doesn't explode?
I think on this side of my career, I think there's lots of things I realize about the laws of the music industry that don't make sense. You know, and I won't even talk from a master's point of view. I think masters is, you get what you negotiate in the music business. It's kind of like the Wild Wild West. And masters is a way that major labels feel comfortable investing in artists because they don't participate in publishing.
Right.
So by owning masters or participating in masters, it gives them a reason to take a big risk and a chance on emerging artists and helping you break. Like that's the reward that they're signing up for. I'll give you an example though on the publishing side that I disagree with and I actually wish it would change. And I've been a part of the problem in the past. Songwriters. I think that they're the most underpaid people in our industry. I think that they're responsible for the melodies and the stories that we love. They're unseen and they're not rewarded the way they should. And I think that one of the problems when you're managing a major artist is unless that artist has a piece of the publishing, there's no way for the artist to protect their rights. So for example, if an artist doesn't own a piece of the publishing, you can take the lyrics of their hit song and you can sell t-shirts without them, with any design you want because you own the publishing.
Wow.
But that doesn't protect the integrity of the artist's brand or the design work or all the thoughtfulness they went into creating their merch and protecting everything that they've worked hard on. But the only way to protect that artist is by demanding a piece of something that is a very small revenue stream that those songwriters need. I think that there should be a way to protect the performer and the rights of the performer while not taking away from the revenue stream of the songwriters. And that's something that I'd love to see happen, and something that I realize now in this part of my career, that while I was protecting my clients, I might not have always been doing the right thing by the songwriters because I was doing my job. But what I'd like to do on this side, if anyone want to advocate, I'd be right there with them saying the laws need to be changed where you don't need to cut into someone's revenue stream to do the right thing by the performer.
But even with labels, as much as it is true that they're taking all the risk, they're putting all the money up front, they don't have anything without the artists. And all these young artists now, like Chappell Roan just talked about it at the Grammys, they're like starting to wave their hands saying this isn't right. Like the labels, I don't know how else to say it, but the labels like just have them.
Look, I think there's things about it that are wrong, and then there's things about it where, you know how many artists who aren't successful are asking the label to keep investing millions of dollars in them when it's not worked yet.
Right.
You know, so I think there's always two sides of that coin, that sometimes the artist in their individual situation is spot on. But then what do you tell the other artists where you're saying, well, because they said this, I no longer have the revenue to take a chance to break your next favorite artist? Mm-hmm. You know, I think like any business that needs to grow, it needs to change. There also needs to be stop fighting against technology and understanding technology can bring us new revenue streams that can change our business. I think people come really hard at Spotify and they're like, oh, they're not paying us correctly. But they also forget that if it wasn't for Daniel Ek, we wouldn't have the music industry value we have today. He saved a dying industry. He took a risk, and people are mad that he's done so well. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if it wasn't for him and streaming and what Spotify did, we wouldn't be having the revenue that we have right now. So it's easy to kind of point fingers back and forth. I think it's better if we find ways to work together to create more prosperity for everyone.
Well, to your point with streaming and so many independent labels, do artists need big labels anymore?
I think it really depends on the case. I think sometimes a big label can use its power and its strategy and boots on the ground around the world to actually make a difference for you. And sometimes you're able to break through using the internet and you can do, you know, a distribution deal. And, you know, I really think it depends on your needs. You know, some types of acts don't need a lot of money to tour or do things. Other acts need a tremendous amount of money to develop the music videos, the strategy, the development. Every act is different. And I think that, you know, pointing fingers at each other while others make money off of all of us is not necessarily the most productive thing.
What do you think about the TikTokization of music?
I'm too old. I mean, that's honestly the truth. I think when other people are coming on, they're like, what is this? And like, I'm getting to that age where I'm like, I don't understand the TikTok. Like I'm too old. Like I'm not native to the technology anymore. Yeah. So the same way my dad discovered vinyl, I discovered DJ Clue mixtapes. And, you know, some kid today is discovering on TikTok. The one thing that has remained constant is the love of discovery of music. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to badmouth how a kid discovers music today because that's their generation.
But artists are making music for TikTok. Like, do you remember in the Instagram era, everybody thought that Drake would make these songs just so we would all have Instagram captions? Yeah. And whether that's true or not, I don't know.
I don't think all artists make songs for TikTok. I think artists like art.
Yeah.
Take different mediums and take different types of art. So what I mean by that is there are some artists who are still making albums. There are other artists who are focused on singles. Then there are artists who are focusing on TikTok. I think people make art specifically for the art they want to make. Mm-hmm. And we seem to judge it based on who makes the most revenue. That's been the biggest issue for me, not just with music, across the board. Why are our bachelor and bachelorette lists based on net worth and not kindness or, you know, not even like if the person's attractive anymore? It's just like, seriously, it's like how rich are they? You know, and I think.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Bachelor and bachelorette lists. Like when we look at them,
what are bachelor lists?
Like when you see the most eligible bachelors in the world.
Oh, okay.
You know, they'll be like showing their net worth.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that we've gotten
and
away.
Women's beauty. It's
and
like
women's, yeah, it's
up,
like,
yeah.
It's so to me, what's interesting about AI, if it really does take away a lot of jobs and does replace a lot of things, we've been a generation, the generation before us, that's defined by what we do. The next generation might need to be defined by who they are.
Interesting. Because if you get a lot of people who have more time on their hands, there's possibly like a artistic renaissance.
Either artistic renaissance, or we're going to have to deal with ourselves and not just be defined with what we do.
I don't know. Shakespeare says idle hands are the devil's playthings.
We're going to find out.
Okay, at the height of it, how many calls?
By the way, I hope it's an artistic renaissance, like you said, and not idle hands.
I hope so too. I think if AI, we don't have a great track record in America, but if AI gets into the right hands.
Well, it seems to be in all our hands, especially with all the open source and everything that's happening. But look, the world's going to change drastically in the next couple of years, and we always seemed a way of figuring it out and going on a new journey. And I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity for experience and art. And it's going to be an interesting world. in the next 10 to 15 years, if not sooner.
At the height of your managerial career, how many calls were you making a day?
Always all day. Emails, calls all day
Like
long.
more than 300?
Yeah, probably.
Texts?
Like over 1,000 emails and texts a day.
And were you a zero inbox guy?
Yeah,
How did you do it?
at nighttime. It was funny. My assistant would joke like in like 2, 3 in the morning. It was just like just because I'd be answering everything.
Wow. Scooter, what's it been like to work this hard?
I've never been asked that. I don't think I knew any other way for a really long time. The more interesting question has been, what is it like to work different? The last couple of years, learning how to be present. It's less a question of what's it feel like to work that hard and how nice it is now to be here. I don't think I knew how to be here. I think I knew how to live in the future. I think I knew how to prepare for every single moment. I knew how to always be on, getting ready. And that made me really good at business.
But you took a breath when I said that. You exhaled. Why?
Because I've learned how to exhale. That's the reason. It's when you're working so hard before, you don't know how to breathe. You don't know how to take a moment. You don't know how to not look at your phone. You're so afraid of what you're building not working. It's like my grandparents are Holocaust survivors. Like you said, it was a lot of Holocaust trauma of like, tomorrow they're going to come and take it all away.
Yeah.
And the last couple of years, the pain of the last couple of years forced me to learn how to be here and learn how to take a breath. And that has been really nice because the closest thing I can relate to that is being a kid. Is like being a kid who's riding a bike around his neighborhood, a kid who liked the Thundercats and was silly and had fun and didn't have a phone yet. And it was a lot more joyous than I was in my adult years. And I've got that back now.
You had the playfulness though. Like, I mean, maybe it was just on
I did.
Instagram, but I don't
No, I
didn't seem
did.
like you lost that.
I did, but I was afraid of tomorrow. I didn't know how to be here today. And so my friends feel like you haven't changed, but they're like, now you're back. I didn't know how to be vulnerable. I didn't know how to like tell what was really happening with me. I was protecting all the time. And now I'm a mess, just like you. It's fine.
Did you shed people?
Yeah, but I think that happens naturally. I don't really like shedding anybody. Like, I'm just not built that way. My friends actually say it's a problem. But I just think you get to a point where you realize it's okay. Like, and I changed in a week. So I actually, at the same time, shed people. I also know that they can change in a week and we could be friends all over again. So I give people the benefit of the doubt the same way I'd want them to do for me.
Yeah. Okay, I was reading an article about you and there was a blind quote. And they said, he's a good guy and can be ruthless in business. What's it like to hear me say that?
That's their opinion.
Is it true?
I think that, in my opinion, everyone who's ever done a deal with me has made a multiple. I've never lost money for anyone. I've never screwed anybody. I take a lot of pride in the fact that, especially in this town, there are not many people that can say that every investor they had did well. Every partner we had did well. It's that I'm still doing deals with those partners. I'll never apologize for fighting for our worth. And some people might have found that being a tough negotiator, but I always believe both sides can win. And in the end, we got there. And being a great entrepreneur, Jeff Bezos says you better expect to be misunderstood. And I'm okay with that. So when I hear it, I don't take any offense to it because that might have been their experience. But you know what they said, the most important thing? Thought I was a good guy, so that's sweet. That's nice of them.
I'm glad you didn't ignore that part.
Not at all.
So someone you've done a few deals with said to me, Scooter's able to determine what people want in a situation more than anyone. You wrote on Instagram that you like in meetings to ask people what their greed is. What do they want? Are you always cognizant of people's desires in your interactions with them?
Yes, and it also makes things easier because people misunderstand the word greed.
Yeah.
They think, it's a dirty word because it's usually the thing that you feel shameful to say, but it's usually the thing I need to know to make the right deal. Sometimes greed is money. Sometimes greed is fame. Sometimes greed is I want to spend more time with my kids. Sometimes greed is I want to be seen for who I am. Sometimes greed is I want to make sure this charity I love makes money. You never know what the greed is, but if someone can just say it and stop hiding it, you can build a deal that works for everybody. And so for me, I try to push people to feel comfortable enough to say what they actually want so we can make a deal that works for everybody.
And it served you.
Yeah.
You said you asked Jeff Bezos that. What did he say?
Asked him what?
What his greed was?
Oh, I never asked him that. I probably
didn't?
should. But I asked him what he wanted. I didn't ask the greed question, but I said, what do you want?
Yeah.
And I was looking at someone who I admired, who is misunderstood. Someone who has provided more jobs for this country than any person alive today. Someone who provided more jobs in COVID than anybody. Someone who changed the minimum wage at the corporate level when the federal government wouldn't. He did, and other companies followed and changed it to $15 because he said, we can actually do this. Someone who's made trillions of dollars of wealth for other people, not just himself. But also is one of the most commercially successful people individually in the world. And I got to ask him, what do you want? And he looked at me and he said, I want to evolve. I want to be more vulnerable. I want to be a better partner. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better friend.
That's cool.
And I thought to myself, I don't need $200 billion to start that. And I felt like it was a cheat code. And I'm the reason I don't like to tell stories about certain people in my life, but I feel proud to tell that story about him. Because I hope more people hear it.
Yeah.
Because no one needs that level of wealth to start that journey.
You seem really passionate about people doing self-work. Is it because you feel so much better now?
Yes, and I don't want them to be in the place that I was to start it. I had plenty of people who loved me trying to tell me to start self-work, and I just didn't turn off the rat race.
Yeah.
I said, I don't need that. Look, the whole world is telling me I'm great, so I'm great. And I refused to hear that little voice inside of me that was screaming like, come get me. Like, we should start this. And I only started when I was in deep pain.
Yeah.
So I talk about it a lot now because I don't wish that pain on anybody. And it's such an easy thing to start, and you don't have to be in pain to do so. So I kind of wish people start it before they get to the place I was in.
I'm sorry you were in so much pain.
You know what? I'm here now, so it's all good.
What do you want moving forward? What's your greed?
Oh, I want people to stop asking me about past dramas.
Maybe after this interview, we can put it to bed.
And maybe, I would love that. Honestly,
What do you really want? Like, no podcast answer.
No,
What do you
really.
actually want?
I would like to build something that I could share with my children.
Interesting.
I'd like to build something next that if they said, Dad, can we come do this with you? There's enough space for them to not only do it with me, but find themselves in it as well. And I could share my creativity with them. If they wanted to do more of the business side, I could share that with them. Like, I would like to do something that if they choose to do their own thing, that's great. But if there was an opportunity that they wanted to kind of do something with their dad, that would be a lot of fun.
You shared a lot of stories with me today about like Amor Fati and Marcus Aurelius, and you seem to have these sort of like Aesop fables in you. You post some of them on Instagram. I'm wondering why being a storyteller is important to you, or why stories matter to you.
Because they have meaning.
Is that how you learn?
I think so. I think you learn from your own experiences, but I think you can learn a lot from stories. I think I loved always reading stories about great people to kind of like have cheat codes. Like the story Jeff gave me, that's a cheat code.
Yeah.
Here's someone who has all that, and that's what they're looking for. That's a cheat code. Like great stories are a cheat code. Like my favorite story in the scripture was like 2 weeks ago in a parsha, and like It's a cheat code. It's the story, like, do you know who actually parted the Red Sea?
No.
Who do you think?
Moses?
People think Moses parted the Red Sea. Moses didn't part the Red Sea.
Pharaoh?
Nope. So the real story, I'm going to go biblical on you.
Okay.
The real story is the Egyptians were coming and they're going to kill everybody and everyone's freaking out. And Aaron and Moses are standing up there saying, God says, trust him, go into the sea. And the sea is like choppy as hell. The current's crazy. Like people go in, you're going to die. And they're like, Moses wants us to commit suicide. Like we're not doing that. And Aaron's brother-in-law, his name was Nachshon. He was the head of the tribe of Judah. He was this regular dude who was like the leader of his family. Something came over him and God said, trust me. And Nachshon, not Moses, walked into the sea and his family started screaming like, don't do this, you're gonna die. And it wasn't until his mouth and his nose went under the water that God parted the sea. And it's like one of my favorite stories ever of this idea of trust. And in life, it's not until you go into a place that is unreasonable, into a place of danger, that shows up. And I love that story because that's like one of the greatest gifts. It's a cheat code of like, that's life. You know, like success and failure live next door to each other. You have to go into the resistance, you have to go into the fear. And it isn't until you put yourself into a place of unreasonable danger that usually the miracles happen. And I really like stories.
That was a great one.
Thanks. Well, it's not mine.
I'm curious when you felt the closest to that fear and success. I mean, I've heard you talk about with Bieber, like you were basically down to your last dollar.
Yeah, Asher and Justin.
Yeah. But is there anything later in your career where it felt that way? Like where you really felt like you were taking a big risk?
My life changed after that, where I'll admit it. Like I have the luck of not being in that financial position ever again after that. But yeah, like I think it's not just about finance, it's about all aspects of your life. It's about going towards, when I did the self-work for the first time, I was lost. And I went in to do something that was so out of character, that was so surrender, which I never did before. And it wasn't until I put myself in surrender, in a place of being vulnerable in front of strangers, that I started to actually have the healing and the miracles take place. So I can talk about it from a business standpoint, but the most powerful in my life has actually been, you know, understanding that I'm not completely in control and that I've actually been taken care of. Most of us have been taken care of our whole lives. So for example, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. What if you had a friend your entire life who every single time you got in a bad position where you didn't think you were going to make it, that friend showed up and said, I will take care of it. And now you're this age and you're back in that position where it's the worst it's ever been. You feel like it's the worst it's ever been and like you cannot control it. It's going to fall apart. You're screwed. And this friend comes to you and goes, okay, listen, this is what I need you to do. I've earned this. I need you to completely trust me. You have no control of the situation. I need you to completely surrender and I'll fix it. Could you do it?
Yeah.
You really?
Yeah.
I'm proud of you because most people are going to be like complete control. Like, yeah, the friend can help me, but like I'm talking, you're not even allowed to know. You have to just say, I trust and fall back.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm really proud because you're an evolved person.
In some ways.
To me, that's
In
the
others,
universe,
not so
that's God. Like how many times have all of us in our life,
Yeah.
if you're at an age of like over 20, over 30, you've already had enough life experience that there's been so many points in your life
Yeah.
where you thought there's just no getting out of this. So many of them that you've forgotten at this point because they've been healed since, where you thought it was the end of the world and it's far years later and you've removed. And every single time steps up. So now I got to a point in my life where it was like, okay, cool. You think you've been controlling this, but I've actually been the one helping you the whole time. So can you just fall back and let me help you? And I finally got to the point, and I work on that every day because you say, yeah, I'm still working on full surrender. I'm not there yet. You're better than me.
No, not full, but the caveat is had I not had those moments, I couldn't have said yes.
Well, I think we've all had those moments, and I'm still not able to say fully yes. It's the thing I'm working on every day.
That's really interesting. I'm shocked to hear that.
I'm better at it, but like...
Because you had to surrender your whole life.
Yes, but I still struggle with it because it's scary.
Yeah.
I'm so much better than it was, but it's scary every single time because what if they're not going to be there? But they've proven, God, universe has proven me 1,000 times that it is.
Yeah.
That's called faith, and I think I'm still working on that.
Is there anyone in your life who has like really, really beautiful faith that you admire, that you look to?
My mom does really believe in the goodness in people. Obviously, it will change as they get older, but because my kids are still kids, I get to see it in them.
You've been behind some of the most iconic careers of the last 15 years. When someone asks your eldest son what his father does, what do you hope he says?
He's Jagger's dad.
I have some rapid fire questions for you. Something that really scares you. Whatever the first thought was.
Health for my family.
The biggest misconception about you.
That I control everything and I'm a crazy man.
What do you wish you knew when you started out in the music industry?
That I don't control shit.
What's a risk you're glad you took even if it didn't work out?
I tried.
What does that mean?
I just got out there and tried.
Do you believe in karma?
Yes.
What's-
But in a way that it's teaching you, never hurting you.
Say more?
I think karma, I believe that like all of us are on our journey, and I think karma is there to give us corrections, never to hurt us. It's always to teach us.
I like that. What's something everyone should try once?
The first thing that came to mind was skydiving. But I don't know if that's a good idea.
I can't. If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
Oak or an olive
Something that you've changed your mind about recently.
or an orange tree. I like to give people, yeah, probably an orange tree.
Just like lasting fruit.
Yeah.
Something you've changed your mind about recently.
Something I've changed my mind about recently. I was doing like a really healthy diet, and yesterday I was like, screw this, I want that cookie. So I changed my mind about the diet yesterday, and I ate the cookie.
Okay, a book that changed your life, something you think everybody should read.
Many Lives, Many Masters. That's a really good one.
Will you grab the question everything card game and pick a card, whichever one speaks to you?
This is the one right here.
Okay.
What's your superpower?
Ooh.
I think I try to see people.
Yeah.
I think my superpower is, I think sometimes superpowers can hurt you, and that's a good thing. So I think my superpower is, deep down, I really just want everyone to be okay. That's my superpower. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I actually just want, I don't like conflict with people. I want everyone to be okay. I want people to get along. And I think even when people are treating, even when my friends think I shouldn't be like that, I'd rather be that way.
That's interesting because usually what we give people is what we need most.
Yeah.
So
Maybe I just want to be okay and understood. Maybe. This is a great therapy session.
Music takes. Okay, these are going to be fun. An album you listen to, no skips.
Lauryn Hill, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Usher Confessions, another one, no skips.
That's a good one too. Okay, 3 albums to listen to for the rest of your life.
One I just named. Well, I'll name other ones. 3 albums the rest of your life. Tribe. God, that's so hard.
I know.
Albums the rest of your life. Just because I'm gonna name my kid after Sticky Fingers by the Stones. And Born to Run, for
Good one.
Springsteen.
Obama would agree with you. AI, good or bad for the music industry?
I think things evolve, and when we fight them, we get in trouble, so good.
Spotify or Apple Music?
I'm a fan of both companies, but I have been a long-term supporter and shareholder of Spotify, and I think what Danielle did is remarkable.
Who's an artist we should all have our eye on?
Scarlet Opera.
First CD or tape you ever bought?
Tevin Campbell, the single Round and Round.
A song you wish you had discovered, a singer you wish you had discovered or managed first?
I mean, alive or dead, you're saying?
Yeah, an artist you wish you had managed.
I don't ever want to manage again.
But in the past, was there ever someone that you really wanted on your roster that you never got?
I'm good. I had a great run. I'm good. That's my answer to the question. Like, I don't have that wish anymore. I had an amazing run. I had an incredible management career. I'm good, and I think everyone was with the person they're supposed to be. Yeah.
Peace, love, and happy endings. Okay,
Yeah.
an artist people would be surprised that you love.
George Benson.
A concert that blew your mind.
Michael Jackson Bad.
An artist that you think is still underrated even after all their success.
Tori Kelly.
I agree. I also put Mario in there. Miguel?
But I'm saying Tori. I think
Tori
Tori, I've worked with Tori. I think she's
Yeah.
one of the most remarkable voices of all time. And you talk about underrated, Tori Kelly.
A lyric that lives rent-free in your head.
Cooler than a polar bear's toenails. Oh hell, there he goes again talking that shit.
Scooter, thank you.
Or I'm from Jamaica, Queens, where I beat you up and take your jeans. I always thought that was a funny line.